and welcome back. As promised in our last video, today we will look at the role players in a sectional title scheme. So I get a lot of questions of who may do what in the scheme, and sometimes people tell me, yes, but the managing agent said this and this and this, and then it isn't even the managing agent's responsibility. So the purpose of today is I just want to educate you a little bit of who is the role players and who should do what in the scheme. Now, depending on your scheme, not all role players will always be there, but I'll tap into that in the end after I've discussed each and every role player. The first and most important one is the one we call the developer. Now, the developer is, as the name says, he or she is the owner of the land, who they decide they wanted to develop into a sectional title scheme. Now, the developer becomes then the owner of each and every unit in the scheme after we've registered the opening in the deeds office. And as soon as he starts transferring units from his or her own name to somebody else who isn't part of the developer, then we establish the body corporate, which is our second role player. So the body corporate is therefore each and every owner of a unit in the sectional title scheme. And as I said, they are established that moment the first unit is transferred from the body corporate into the name of somebody else. Okay, they are established automatically, and therefore as soon as that unit is transferred, they will be in existence. And please note, the developer is then also part of the body corporate. They do not stand separately from them. Then we have our third role player, which is the trustees. Now, the trustees is what the Act says in a fiduciary relationship with the body corporate. That's just a fancy word to say the trustees are acting on behalf of the body corporate and in their interest. You can imagine for yourself in a sectional title scheme where we sit with 100 unit plus. You don't want each and every owner to have a say in the day-to-day management. Therefore, we appoint the trustees, which is members of the body corporate, or it can be somebody who is not an owner or member of the body corporate, as long as the majority of the trustees are members of the body corporate, the Act will allow it. Okay, so you would probably ask, why would we appoint somebody who's not an owner? We usually appoint them as trustees for their expertise. For instance, an accountant to assist with the books of the scheme. Now, the trustees can only do that of which they have authority from the body corporate. At each and every annual year meeting, the body corporate elects certain authority that they want to give to the trustees. For instance, they may conclude disbursements on behalf of the scheme till the amount of 5,000 Rand. If any disbursement goes beyond that, they need to come back to the body corporate and get further instructions. So that's our trustees. Then our last role player is what we call the managing agent. Now, the managing agent is appointed by the body corporate. That is usually somebody who has more expertise in the running and the management of a sectional title scheme. So they will basically focus on collecting your levies, making sure the insurance of the scheme are in place and paid every month, and to make sure that there's a reserve fund for the scheme and that all the financials is in order. So they are basically our link between the trustees and the body corporate and all the owners of the scheme. Now, it's not necessary or compulsory to have a managing agent. It's just nice to have them because they are trained in the management of the scheme, and they are also paid a consideration amount every month, which must be included in the budget. So that's our 4 role players in the sectional title scheme. You won't always have a developer in the scheme, because if the developer has sold all his units in the scheme, he doesn't form part of the body corporate anymore, and you will also not always have a managing agent. If your scheme consists of 2 or 4 units, there's usually a chairperson who's willing to take that responsibility, and then it's not necessary always to appoint a managing agent. Right, I hope this was informative for you, and I look forward to see you guys to our next topic. Till later.